Welcome to moneyHOP Q&A session. Today we are featuring Bhavna Singh. She has been an ardent public speaker. She is an international MC. So, we don't have to say much. Spoken English is her main strength. And above all, she is an IELTS trainer. So let's get started. Bhavna, welcome to the session. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Vishnu.
So let's get into the first question. So it's about IELTS. What is IELTS? Why is so much buzz around it? And how is the trend around it globally?
Okay, so Vishnu, I believe this is one of the most preferred asked question by many students, that what is IELTS, how we can give it, ma'am, what is the scope of this? So let me tell my viewers, IELTS is International English Language Testing System. So basically, this is a kind of an exam. It's a prerequisite that you need to give before moving to any country overseas, particularly in Europe, Asia, and in America, Australia, New Zealand. So every country has its own English immigration examinations, and IELTS is one of the most preferred English exam which is given by the students. And I believe over the last decade, this exam has been, very much in demand, because we can see there's a huge immigration which is happening in India. And with this, there are many players who are commercializing it. We can see recently this exam trademark was purchased by IDP, but before that, British Council was the owner of it. So similarly to IELTS, we have another English immigration exams. So anyone who wish to settle outside, take citizenship, residency, you need to show a proof of your English proficiency. And this is the reason we give this IELTS.
How is this exam conducted? What is the structure around it?
Okay, so how is the exam conducted? Well, then let me tell you, there are two types of exam. First is pen and paper. Okay, the students who are not, used to with the computer typing and all, so they generally get the sheets are given to them and they write the exam on that. Okay, that is pen and paper. And the second category of exam is computer based, in which if your handwriting is very poor, so you are not comfortable writing with the pencil, mostly the corporate professionals, the IT people. So this gives CBCT, that is computer based program. So we have two types, that is pen and paper and the computer based. I generally recommend my students to go for pen and paper, because that is much more easier and you get extra grace of marks. Whereas in computer based CBCT, the timer automatically locks the software, the system, and you don't get that much grace time. And mostly over the course of years, I have seen that the pattern of pen and paper and the CBCT, pen and paper is much more easier in comparison with the CBCT. And if you ask me the modules, then we have the 4 types of modules in it. That is the reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And as I mentioned earlier, that, since it depends on your type, suppose if you're going for an academic visa, then you need to give IELTS academic. Okay, but if you are going for residency, citizenship, or any other type of a spouse visa, then you are required to give the IELTS general training. All right. So similar to IELTS also, now we have another examinations. We have PTE, that is Pearson Test of English. As I mentioned that there are many commercial players who are coming, okay, and introducing their own exams. So Pearson is a very big brand of UK. So they have also introduced their own concept, that is Pearson Test of English. So similarly, we have PTE Academic for study visa and PTE Core for residency citizenship. So this exam PTE is very easier as compared to IELTS. This is way easier. It doesn't test your knowledge in that much depth as IELTS test. So I believe if you are in a hurry and you need to appear within 1 week, then PT is the best exam. So mostly countries like Australia, New Zealand, and UK, they prefer PTE over IELTS, which is generally preferred in Canada.
Are there different kinds of IELTS exams?
Okay, so the different kinds of IELTS exams are general training, academic, and the modules are the same: reading, listening, writing, speaking. So writing differs. In academic writing, you get a different task 1, task 2. Task 2 is common for general training, that there's an essay which is common in both. But in task 1, generally you are given a figure, a mathematical figure, a bar chart, a pie chart, or a table, or a double bar graph, or a line graph, and you need to summarize it in 150 words. So the reading pattern is same, in which the paragraph paragraphs are given to you and you solve them, and 40 questions are there. Whereas in listening, they play certain audios, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and you get 40 questions. You listen to the audio, and the audio will be played just once. They won't be repeating the audio twice. And generally, audio comes at a higher speed of 1.25 to 1.5x. They make it more tough for the candidate. All right. And after that, we have the writing. As I said, task 1, task 2. Task 1 for general training, those who are seeking residency citizenship, they're asked to write a letter in not more than 150 words. Whereas the academic students on study visa, they generally write a mathematical, they summarize the mathematical figure. Whereas the task 2 of academic and GT, it is same, that is the essay. They ask you to write an essay on any given and major heated topic, that terrorism is increasing, what can be done, mothers are better than fathers, do you agree or disagree? Nowadays, the flora and fauna are declining, why this is happening, what this is so again, there are 7 types of categories of writing task 2, that is agree, disagree, problem solution, advantage, disadvantage, double question, and discuss both opinions, discuss both views. So any one category can be asked.
All of these things happens on one day, so the exam is basically one day, or does it happen
Yes.
on different days?
Yes, very good question. So most of the time the students are confused that how we can write this whole day. So let me tell you, if I particularly talk about the Northern India side, this reading, listening and writing, it is conducted on one day. You get 3 hours. Okay. Continuously for 3 hours, and there is no break in between that. Ma'am, can I go to the washroom and all? No, the examiner doesn't allow you. You have 3 hours. There is a clock on the wall, and accordingly you have to write. Okay. The speaking slots, okay, speaking, as I mentioned, the speaking slot is either a day before the exam or a day after the exam. So nowadays the IDP, the organization who is controlling all this exam, they have given a grace to the students that it depends on the students. You get the slot and it depends on you whether you want to take one day prior to it or 2-3 days after the exam, right? So if there is no seats available, then automatically the system, the IDP, they decides the date that you will be having the speaking a day before it. Okay, fine. So most of the time I recommend my student to take the speaking first, and then after 2-3 days give the main reading exam, that is reading, writing and listening. Whereas coming on to the other sites like Maharashtra and on Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, where my students, they have given the exam, so they have told me, ma'am, the speaking is done on the same day. And mostly in Canada also, like in Brampton, Ontario, the centers that are there, in Surrey, British Columbia, students, they say that if 10 a.m. their speaking is, then their main exam RWL will start from 1 p.m. So I believe nowadays over the decades this pattern is changing. Speaking is done on the same day only. They don't create unnecessary chaos of 1 day, 2 day. Whereas but in northern India, in Delhi, NCRs, Noida, when you book the center, you get the speaking on separate day.
As you know, recently India overtook Britain as a strong economy, and going forward, like we are planning to become a 10 trillion economy in I think like 10 or 15 years. So because of this, a lot of reverse immigration can happen, right? How do you view this? So
Yes,
is
so
it good or
basically
bad?
this, so as we can see, there is a colossal upsurge in the discussion in this topic only, that the reverse immigration will happen in the future, and what all, like the Trump entering the administration, he will be banning all the Indian students. They won't be, he's ending birthright citizenship, making it difficult. And with the elections coming in Canada, it will be really difficult for the students community to survive, right? I have seen many students who are well settled, they're having residencies, houses, but still they are now coming back to India and settling in their hometowns in Punjab. So I believe somewhere or the other, it is, you can say, a kind of homesickness, loneliness, with the rise in mental disorders that are there, and the people, they don't, feel the urge to earn more money. They are coming back to their own home country. This is also one of the biggest reasons they feel lonely, that this is the reason they're opting to coming back to their own nation, because they're not welcomed by the native white people. There's so much of racism, the crime is there also in their country. So this is one of the reasons that I've heard from my student. And the second reason I would say that, nowadays, the kind of job scenario, the cheap labor in Canada, you can see Indian students, they're willing to work in $7 per hour, $5. This is because of the cheap labor. There's too much of competition which is happening. So I believe there are many countries in which we Indians have colonized, and now there is no that much, tough competitive edge which is left. So I believe people are hopping, they're looking for some other countries in Europe. Okay, nowadays Canada, US, there is not that much in demand, but in small countries in Europe like Cyprus, Finland, Poland, they are much more in demand because these destinations are unheard by the Indians. So there's less population. But after 10-15 years, I believe all these small European countries, they will be flooded by Indians. And yes, over a course of a decade in the next future, we can see the reverse migration happening, because as it is predicted, the economy, the dollar, the pounds will dip, and many more people will be coming back. Of course, we Indians, we do a kind of an investment, right? When we go to their country, our main aim is just to make money and then come back and pump that money into our home country. As I say, India is a protruding country, it's a developing nation, right? So many businessmen, entrepreneurs and all, they prefer to pump their money and do the startup here in India, because running a startup overseas, it's very costly, it will cost you a lot, whereas in India, the cost of initiating a startup is very cheap. So this can also be one of the reason that people, they don't prefer for long time settlement, but for just 2-3 years, once they get the permanent residency, or they get the citizenship, they come back to their own country and put that money here as an investment in India. Okay, and yes, we can say that whatever the wildlife fires that are happening and all, the global pandemic has also forced the people, as it is predicted that this year also will be like a global pandemic, and many NRIs will be coming back to their hometown. I don't know whether predictions will be true or not in the future, but we can say over the course of decade in the future, yes, reverse migration will be on the rise.
When you told one interesting point, like students are nowadays choosing the countries which they don't use, like which is not in the bandwagon, like
Unheard.
not
Yes.
US, UK. Recently, my cousin went
Basically,
to
yeah.
Malta. I think Malta is also a European country, right? But
Yeah.
it's not. It's becoming trending now. So,
Malta,
like you,
Cyprus, yes.
yes, like you said, reverse immigration is happening, but I won't think it will become prominent, say in 50 years. I don't think so. Like, I think even the Gen Z is following the same trend what millennials have been following. Like the immigration is on rise. So, how do you see it?
Hmm.
How do you see the present immigration that's happening on a huge scale? How does it impact the
Yes.
country? Is it good or bad? Is it brain drain?
Yes.
The topic which has been in discussion for long. So how do you view all this, and how do you give a holistic picture around it?
Yes, so firstly, Vishnu, I believe this is a very poignant situation that more and more people are leaving the country. It's very depressing to see that the young talent who is deciding to, enter the talent pool of another countries like US, UK, Australia, New Zealand. Rather, they should contribute to the economy of their own country. But I believe there's so many barriers in our own nation. Okay, there's a lot of joblessness and there's a huge competition. Now, in each and every lane, you can find doctor, engineers, civil engineers, there are tons. Anyone can become a motivational speaker. People are running their coachings and all. There's a huge competition, and the craze of UPSCs and all, the people are wasting their times, the golden time of their youth. I believe all these things, they actually frustrate the youth, and then they ultimately decide to leave the country and go. And moreover, I believe for women, if we look at their own culture, things are very difficult here in our home country, the kind of barriers, traditionals, the restrictions we have. So these days, this is also the reason that girls, particularly if you see the condition of Haryana, Punjab, now we in previous time, we used to see that parents, they used to spend crores on dowries, but nowadays parents are spending crores on getting the citizenship, residency, academic visa of their girls. And I believe this is a good step, and I believe this is the personal choice of the girls also, that they're not willing to settle here in this country, seeing the kind of the safety issues that are there. And I believe the kind of there's hardly any a graduate once who enters the market, there's hardly any pay scale for the graduate or an MBA guy. And maybe this is the reason the students, they do their graduation, post graduation from the country, and then they decide to leave the nation, right? If you see overseas, there's a lack of talent, there's a demand for engineers, doctors, teachers, civil workers, even for the cook, cleaners, blue collar, white collar jobs, right? And the native white people, they are willing to pay you $30, $40 per hour, whereas in our own country, I believe hardly there's any system of per hour pay scale, right? So there's a huge demand of labor in that country. This is also the reason that half of the time people are leaving. You look at the condition in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi, where half of the hotel staff is of Indians only, half of the nurses in UAE are Indians only, right? So there's a demand of labors, and these sheikhs, they are paying very good, similar to the white natives people, they are also paying very good. I believe if the young man or a woman is getting a good lifestyle, fresh air, clean air, and then why he or she will not leave the country. So this can also be the reason. And as far as the rules and regulations are concerned in our own country, they're not that much strict. I believe the government these days is not thinking that much, for the people, for the youth, and it will take time. As we just celebrated our Republic Day, it's been almost 76 years we got the freedom. So I believe this is a developing nation. It will take another 15-20 years for us to come that much close to those already developed nations like Australia and New Zealand. So of course it will be a long journey, but patience is the key. And definitely in the future, the entire talent who's leaving this country after 10-15 years, they will again return back.
So a lot of students would be seeing this video. So our audience wants to know about you. So can you tell a little bit about yourself, how you came into this domain?
Okay, sure, Vishnu. So once again, hello everyone. My name is Bhavna Singh, and I'm a prominent IELTS, PT, and a self-paced spoken English trainer based here in Delhi, India. So basically, this journey started while I was pursuing my instrumentation electronic honors. I realized that I have this strong interest, affinity towards communication, public speaking, debating, and even during my high school days, I participated in so many debates and all. I never thought that I will end up making it as my profession. So as I moved close to the next phase of my life, after the COVID, I decided that yes, this field is very interesting. And since I myself wanted to go overseas, I enrolled myself in a nearby coaching institute, and there they introduced me with the concept of IELTS. So I believe it was a very incredible journey. Since then, I have never looked back, and I have trained more than lakhs of students who are very happily settled overseas, and they have pursued their career. And I believe in the future also I would like to do more certification in this IELTS teachers training, PT, CELPIP, and the so many types of examinations that are there, and help people realize their overseas dream. And I believe nowadays IELTS teaching is very much in demand. More and more people are thinking it as a lucrative career option. I give coaching, personalized coaching sessions, one-to-one sessions, and group sessions. So I've got my certifications, IELTS and all, from a nearby institute. And then after that, I decided to run my own brand. So I have been doing this individually without any under coaching institutes and all, right? And I believe it's like, you can say it's kind of an entrepreneurship, establishing your own brand and, helping the students. So this is what I have been doing from the last 4 or 5 years.
You can tell the brand name, like that's not a worry. That's not a worry. You can, so you will also get some leads from it. You can tell the brand name, like the way you
Okay,
did. You
so
can
if
continue.
the any students who are watching me, if they wish to get their IELTS coaching or PT coaching or spoken English, learn, then you can get in touch with me on my social media handle, that is truly Bhavna. Or you can also search me on LinkedIn by the name Bhavna Singh IELTS, and you will get my profile. You can connect with me, and from there we can take the things forward. So connect with me on my social media on LinkedIn, Instagram by the name truly Bhavna, and I will be happy to assist you on this overseas journey of yours.
Thanks a lot, Bhavna. A lot of insights. I think the students watching this video would benefit a great deal from this. Thanks a lot.